Show me how you work.
It's just like pushing top 100. Oh! Wala sa resume. Especially with neck.
Welcome back to Time.Fact, the channel where tennis stories don't whisper, they explode. If this is your first time here, consider this your official warning. Once you hear what we're about to reveal, you'll never look at modern sports the same way again. Hit subscribe now, because this isn't just news, it's a collision between unimaginable wealth and raw human truth. This is a story packed with private jets, 7-star excess, a $5 million offer, and a moment so emotionally violent that it reduced one of the world's most powerful billionaires to uncontrollable tears. This is where Dubai's untouchable elite met the relentless heart of the Philippines' golden girl, Eala. And before we go any further, let me ask you something no one dared to ask until now. What does it actually cost to make a billionaire cry? The answer shocked everyone. $5 million and 2 hours of absolute, unfiltered honesty. For weeks, whispers moved through Dubai like smoke through marble halls. They floated around elite country clubs, private lounges, and invitation-only circles where the ultra-rich trade secrets instead of small talk. Social media accounts connected to these circles began leaking fragments, cryptic posts, luxury emojis, and one repeated phrase, the birthday invitation of a lifetime. No one had the full picture. Until now. Because what unfolded may be the most extravagant and emotionally charged invitation ever extended in professional sports history. Picture the opening scene. A Gulfstream G650 sits quietly on a Manila runway, engines humming with restrained power. Inside, champagne chills in crystal flutes. Leather seats gleam under soft ambient lighting. The jet isn't waiting for royalty or a head of state, it's waiting for one woman. Thousands of miles away, a royal penthouse at the Burj Al Arab, the only hotel in the world that dares call itself 7-star, is being prepared. Rose petals line marble floors. Gold accents catch the light. Everything is perfect. And all of it exists for one purpose, to welcome Eala. The request attached to this spectacle sounds almost insulting in its simplicity. Show up. Smile. Take photos. Help cut a birthday cake. That's it. The price. $5 million. Not a long-term sponsorship. Not a brand deal. Not months of appearances. Just 2 hours. It sounds unreal because it is. But what happened at that party flipped the narrative completely, turning a story about obscene wealth into something shockingly human and impossible to ignore. To understand why this happened, you need to understand the man behind it. Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum isn't rich by normal standards. Rich is a celebrity with a few million in endorsements. This man operates on a level that bends reality. His wealth is generational, industrial, and vast enough to shape cities. His car collection alone could bankrupt small countries, Bugattis that never touch asphalt, Ferraris preserved like museum artifacts. His yachts make Monaco's harbor look like a toy display. He even owns a private zoo. When you already own everything money can buy, desire becomes something else entirely. For Sheikh Ahmed, that desire is tennis. Not as a casual pastime, not as background entertainment, but as an obsession. And for the past 3 years, one player has consumed his attention, Eala. Sources close to him say he didn't just watch her matches, he studied them. He followed her through obscure qualifiers, late-night 3-set battles, and exhausting comeback wins that never made headlines. When Eala was grinding through Australian Open qualifiers, pushing her body past comfort and logic, the Sheikh was reportedly glued to his screen, reacting to every point as if it were his own. When she finally cracked the world's top 50, becoming the first Filipino player in history to do so, he celebrated with fireworks inside his palace. Not because he knew her personally, but because he recognized something rare, a fighter who refused to accept limits. After Eala's brutal Australian Open run, something strange happened. A package arrived at her management office in Manila. No sender listed. Inside were luxury items worth more than her tournament prize money, paired with a handwritten note containing just 4 words, "Keep fighting. The world is watching." 4 months, her team speculated. Sponsor? Anonymous benefactor? Secret admirer? No one knew. Until Sheikh Ahmed's 50th birthday approached, and he decided it was time to step out of the shadows. The invitation didn't arrive by email. It wasn't couriered. It was hand-delivered by a personal representative dressed in traditional Emirati formal wear, carrying a leather portfolio embossed in gold. Inside was what insiders now call the special package. When the numbers were revealed, jaws hit the floor. $5 million. For 2 hours. Do the math. That's over $40,000 per minute. More than most professional tennis players earn in a year. Offered for the easiest appearance imaginable. But the money was only the surface. The experience itself was designed to overwhelm. Transportation alone redefined luxury. A Gulfstream G650, one of the most elite private jets on Earth, was dispatched exclusively to the Philippines. This wasn't just a jet with leather seats. This was a flying palace. Private bedrooms. A full-service chef cooking gourmet meals mid-air. Gold-trimmed fixtures. Entertainment systems that rival Hollywood screening rooms. Every second of the 9-hour flight to Dubai was engineered to make Eala feel like global royalty. And when she landed, Dubai didn't just welcome her, it escalated. The package included a 7-day stay at the Burj Al Arab's royal penthouse. 2 floors. A private cinema. A rotating bed with panoramic ocean views. A 24/7 butler team. Bathrooms lined with Italian marble and gold-plated fixtures. At roughly $24,000 per night, the suite existed in a world most people only see in documentaries. And this was just the prelude. Because the main event, the birthday itself, was something else entirely. The private ballroom had been transformed into a surreal dreamscape. Swarovski crystals dripped from ceilings. Rare orchids were flown in from Southeast Asia. Lighting was designed by teams normally reserved for Hollywood award shows. The guest list read like a power index of the planet. Gulf royalty, oil magnates, tech billionaires, European aristocrats, and celebrities whose faces dominate global media. And standing beside Sheikh Ahmed as guest of honor was a 20-year-old tennis player from Quezon City, Philippines. Her role was simple. Greet guests. Pose for photos. Help cut the cake. A 3-tiered masterpiece worth $50,000, coated in edible gold and crowned with a miniature tennis court design. Easy money. Or so everyone thought. Because once the photos ended and the music faded, the room went silent, and Eala was handed a microphone. As Eala took the microphone, the atmosphere inside the ballroom shifted instantly. Moments earlier, this was a room drowning in excess, champagne glasses clinking, soft laughter floating between billionaires, the casual arrogance of people who believe the world bends for them. But now, silence ruled. Not polite silence. Not ceremonial silence. The kind of silence that presses against your chest. No script appeared in her hands. No cue cards. Just a young woman standing alone beneath crystal lights, surrounded by power, wealth, and expectation. And instead of delivering the safe, rehearsed birthday message everyone assumed was coming, Alex did something completely unexpected. She spoke from a place money can't reach. She didn't start by thanking Sheikh Ahmed for the jet, the penthouse, or the check that could change her life forever. She thanked him for something far rarer, belief. She spoke about how belief, when it comes from the right place, can weigh more than trophies and louder than applause. She talked about the lonely reality of professional tennis, the endless travel, the empty hotel rooms, the early mornings when your body aches so badly you question your own sanity. She described the quiet moments no cameras ever capture, the hours hitting balls against a wall, the nights wondering if all the sacrifice will ever be worth it. She told the room what it feels like to carry the expectations of an entire nation on your shoulders while still feeling painfully human. She spoke about leaving her family at a young age to chase a dream that offered no guarantees. About training at the Rafa Nadal Academy, watching other players arrive with sponsors, entourages, and safety nets while she relied on grit and hope. About injuries that whispered threats of endings before beginnings ever fully formed. And then she revealed something that caught everyone off guard. She admitted there were moments this year, dark, quiet moments, when quitting felt logical. When her body screamed to stop and her mind agreed. That's when she turned her gaze directly to Sheikh Ahmed. She told him that support doesn't always have to be loud or public to matter. That a single act of belief, even from afar, can pull someone back from the edge. She revealed that the anonymous gifts and that simple handwritten note, keep fighting. The world is watching. Arrived during one of the hardest stretches of her career. And while she didn't know who sent them at the time, she knew what they meant. They meant someone saw her struggle. Someone cared enough to remind her she wasn't invisible. Then she said the line that changed everything. She told the room that true champions aren't defined by rankings, titles, or the size of their bank accounts. True champions are defined by how they use their power, by whether they lift others while climbing, or step on them to get higher. She said greatness without heart is empty, and success without purpose eventually collapses under its own weight. She thanked Sheikh Ahmed not for celebrating her wins, but for respecting her journey. For choosing to support a fighter still climbing instead of collecting praise from legends who already arrived. You could feel the shift ripple across the ballroom. The glitter suddenly felt irrelevant. The wealth faded into the background. Guests who built empires sat frozen, listening like students. Alex spoke about the young girls in the Philippines watching her matches on cracked phones and borrowed televisions. About kids hitting tennis balls against walls in narrow streets, dreaming dreams they're told are unrealistic. She said if her journey proves anything, it's that dreams don't belong exclusively to the privileged, they belong to the stubborn. And then, without raising her voice, without drama, she ended with a sentence that landed like an earthquake. She told Sheikh Ahmed that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone who has everything is the reminder that their kindness matters, that their belief carries weight, that they are seen not just as powerful, but as human. The silence afterward was suffocating. No one moved. No one breathed. And then the impossible happened. Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum, the man known in boardrooms as ruthless, emotionless, untouchable, broke. Not a dignified tear. Not a controlled emotional moment. He collapsed inward. His shoulders shook. His hands covered his face as sobs escaped him in full view of everyone. This was a man who negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking, now crying like a child who'd just been handed something priceless. People didn't know how to react. Some froze. Others instinctively stood. And then the entire room rose to its feet. The applause wasn't polite. It was thunderous. Prolonged. Raw. Many guests wiped their own eyes, stunned by what they'd just witnessed. Because in that moment, Eala did what no amount of money, power, or luxury ever could. She pierced through the armor of the ultra-elite and reminded them who they were underneath it all. Sheikh Ahmed embraced her, still shaking, whispering, "Thank you," again and again. Photographers captured images that would later circulate in private circles. Images of vulnerability rarely associated with Dubai's ruling elite. They showed a billionaire stripped of ego, undone by sincerity. And once those images leaked, the world couldn't look away. Now, critics immediately asked the obvious question. Why her? Why spend $5 million on a player who, while rising fast, isn't yet a global household name like Serena Williams or Sharapova? The answer lies in what Eala has achieved recently, because this invitation wasn't random. It was earned. Just weeks before Dubai, Eala delivered one of the most historic performances in Philippine sports history at the Southeast Asian Games in Bangkok. She didn't just win gold, she ended a 26-year drought. The last Filipina to stand atop that podium did so in 1999. An entire generation waited. And when the moment came, Eala didn't scrape by. She dominated. A ruthless straight-sets demolition of the home favorite sealed it. Precision. Control. No mercy. And that was only part of the story. 2025 became her coming-out party on the global stage. She shattered the top 50 barrier, something no Filipino player, male or female, had ever done. At the Miami Open, she entered as a wild card and left as a warning. She stunned former world number 1 Iga Swiatek in a 3-set thriller that sent shockwaves through tennis. She dismantled Madison Keys with authority. By the time she ran out of fuel in the semifinals, the message was clear. Eala was no longer a prospect. She was a problem. Add to that her WTA 125 title in Guadalajara and a finals appearance at Eastbourne, and a pattern emerges. Every tournament, another milestone. Every match, another statement. For Sheikh Ahmed, this wasn't charity. It was vision. He didn't want to align with someone whose story was already complete. He wanted the future. Hunger. Fire. The kind of athlete who reminds you why sport matters in the first place. And when the world learned about the $5 million birthday invitation, the internet detonated. Social media flooded with reactions. Some mocked it as excess. Others called it iconic. One viral post read, "Getting paid $5 million to cut a cake is elite-level success." Another hit deeper, "The fact that she stayed humble enough to move a billionaire to tears, that's why Eala is different." Because that's the real reason this story spread like wildfire. It wasn't about the money. It was about contrast. A young woman from Quezon City standing in the heart of obscene wealth and choosing authenticity over performance. Choosing meaning over spectacle. And reminding the world that no matter how high you climb, connection is still the currency that matters most. As the applause finally faded and the ballroom slowly returned to motion, one thing was clear to everyone present that night. This was no longer just a birthday party story. It had evolved into a cultural moment. A reminder that even in rooms saturated with power, the most valuable currency is still sincerity. And while the world outside would obsess over the $5 million figure, those inside that ballroom knew the truth. What happened there couldn't be bought at any price. In the days that followed, speculation exploded. Why would a billionaire invest so heavily in an athlete still writing her legacy? The answer sits firmly in the reality of Eala's trajectory. This wasn't blind admiration. This was recognition. Sheikh Ahmed didn't see a finished product, he saw momentum. He saw history unfolding in real time. And most importantly, he saw someone whose rise symbolized something bigger than tennis. Eala's 2025 season didn't just elevate her ranking, it shifted perceptions. Every tournament she entered carried the weight of expectation, and instead of shrinking under it, she expanded. Each victory echoed louder than the last because it wasn't just about points or prize money. It was about representation. Every time she walked onto a court, she carried the hopes of a country that had waited decades for a player like her. And she didn't carry that weight with entitlement, she carried it with gratitude and hunger. That hunger is what separates temporary stars from lasting icons. It's why, despite a week of unimaginable luxury in Dubai, reports confirmed that Eala was back on the practice court almost immediately after returning. No extended celebrations. No indulgent detours. Just training. Conditioning. Preparation. Because while the Burj Al Arab might impress most people, Eala's eyes are fixed somewhere else entirely. On Grand Slam courts, under brighter lights, against the best players in the world. She has made her goals painfully clear. A deep run at the Australian Open. Consistency at the highest level. Continued growth. And now, with financial pressure eased by a single appearance that changed everything, she can focus purely on performance. No scrambling for funding. No stress about travel or coaching costs. Just tennis. That kind of freedom is dangerous, in the best way. Naturally, the relationship between Eala and Sheikh Ahmed became the subject of intense curiosity. Would this remain a one-time gesture? Or was this the beginning of something bigger? Insiders suggest the latter. There are whispers of long-term backing, quiet conversations about future collaborations, and even discussions about infrastructure rather than endorsements. The most intriguing rumor of all? A proposed tennis academy in the Philippines, funded by Sheikh Ahmed, with Eala positioned not just as a face, but as a foundational pillar. If that happens, the impact would be seismic. Imagine world-class facilities built where talent currently has none. Imagine young players gaining access to elite coaching without leaving their country. Imagine a pipeline of Filipino tennis talent emerging on the global stage. That kind of investment doesn't just change careers, it changes ecosystems. And suddenly, that $5 million birthday appearance looks less like extravagance and more like a spark. Of course, cynics will always exist. Some dismissed the story as a billionaire flexing wealth. Others reduced it to a headline gimmick. But those takes miss the core entirely. Because if this were about power or possession, the speech would never have mattered. The tears would never have fallen. And the story would have faded as quickly as it appeared. Instead, it endured, because it exposed something uncomfortable and beautiful at the same time. That even the most powerful people on earth crave authenticity. That even those who seem untouchable want to feel seen. Eala didn't ask for this moment. She didn't script it. She simply showed up as herself. And in doing so, she bridged a gap few athletes ever cross, the gap between privilege and perseverance, between luxury and longing. She stood as proof that where you come from doesn't define how far your voice can reach. Social media continued to churn for weeks. Fans debated whether $5 million was too much or not enough. Memes circulated. Praise poured in. But beneath the noise, one sentiment dominated: respect. Respect for an athlete who didn't lose herself when surrounded by excess. Respect for a young woman who turned a transactional appearance into a transformative moment. Respect for someone who reminded the world that humility doesn't disappear when success arrives, it deepens. And this is where the story truly lands. Because Eala's rise isn't just about winning matches. It's about rewriting narratives. It's about showing young athletes from overlooked regions that their dreams aren't unrealistic, they're just early. It's about proving that talent paired with character creates something unstoppable. As for Sheikh Ahmed, those close to him say that night changed him too. That he speaks about Eala not as an athlete he sponsored, but as a person who reminded him why passion matters. That despite owning everything imaginable, the moment that stayed with him wasn't the party, the decor, or the guest list. It was a young woman speaking truth without fear. So what does this all mean moving forward? It means the tennis world needs to pay attention. Eala is no longer just a promising talent. She's a global figure. A symbol. A bridge between worlds that rarely touch. And if her trajectory continues the way it's going, this Dubai moment will be remembered not as the peak, but as the prologue. The next time you see her step onto a court, remember this story. Remember that behind every forehand winner and every comeback victory is someone who understands the value of struggle, belief, and connection. Someone who turned a birthday invitation into a statement heard around the world. So now we ask you, was $5 million too much for 2 hours? Or was it a bargain for a moment that money alone could never create? Do you think Sheikh Ahmed will be sitting courtside when Eala makes her next historic run? And what do you think this partnership could mean for the future of Philippine tennis? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Share it with every tennis fan you know. Subscribe to Time.Fact and turn on notifications because the stories coming next are even bigger. We're pulling back the curtain on the moments the headlines miss and the power plays happening behind the scenes. This is Time.Fact, where champions rise, legends are built, and stories like this remind us why we fell in love with sports in the first place. We'll see you in the next one. And remember, stay hungry, stay humble, and never stop fighting for the dream they say is impossible.